currently available at Co-op Wine, Spirits and Beer is Eric Southward. At least
right.
I think.
Absolutely.
Eric, glad to have you back. How was vacation?
It was great. I got to sit by a pool in Palm Springs with no kids for 3 days. It was magical.
You look refreshed, and you've also cut your hair a little bit, too.
I was looking I needed a haircut. Sometimes life gets in the way, kids get in the way, but I feel fresh. I feel light.
If you want to take a look at it, head on over to Facebook. We're Facebook Live right now. Hi there, Facebook Live. You brought in an Amarone.
That's right.
I looked at it the first time, went Amarone. Not. I was at least close. I was in the same
close.
ballpark.
Absolutely.
So, what is this kind of wine all about?
This is red wine. This is big, rich red wine from northern Italy. It's a style that's really popular in Alberta. Definitely a premium style of wine. Amarone starts in that $40 to $50 range, but they're just delicious. It's unique because, and the producer here is Giuseppe Campagnola, a little family estate from Italy. But the wines are rich and heavy, and it's freezing here most of the year. And we like to eat beef, right? And this cozies up to Alberta beef really well. And it just blasts you with flavor, and it's very velvety. They make it in a unique way where they dry the grapes before they make it. So so they almost concentrate the juice in the grapes. They're not quite fully raisins, but they're getting there. Right. And so the juice they're making the wine from is extra thick, extra delicious, and we love it here in Alberta.
I was curious when we were talking off air about this, is just the guessing and testing that goes into any kind of alcohol. And that sounds like something that they went, hey, let's just try something different and see what happens. And they hit a home run on it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this cruel irony in the wine world where in cold parts of the world, it's more suited to make refreshing light wines, but you just feel like heavy red wines all the time. And then in hot places where you feel like a cold beer or a nice chilled glass of white or rosé, it's suited to heavy red. So in this part of northern Italy, it's very cold, kind of close to the Alps, where they make very light reds. But the market was asking for something heavier, right? So they took those grapes that were making these light fruity wines, and you can still get those. But then, someone decided, well, what if we dried those grapes and make something a little thicker, really richer? How will that do? Well, it took off, and now it's super popular. And even though it's not inexpensive, this is currently on sale for $30.99, down from almost $41. So you can save a little money, but $30 still kind of premium price point. It's not inexpensive, but it's definitely worth it. You can drink it now. It's delicious now. And these wines will age a couple decades too. So
one of the things that you pointed out as well was the idea that this one gets a pretty good rating. And I'm wondering about wine ratings. Is it the same as, you go and you check out TripAdvisor or you check out those other places? Does it depend on which place you go to get the best? Like, where do you find the best ratings?
Yeah. So wine ratings are interesting. If you shop at various, wine stores, they might publish a rating out of 100. So like 90 points or 93 points or whatever. We currently have a 90-point ad out at Co-op right now where, we're featuring a bunch of wines on sale that receive 90 points or higher. This received 95 points from a guy named James Suckling. And so there are these wine critics that gain some traction that people start to follow, and they kind of drive the market a little bit.
Right.
Word of caution to the consumer, though, is just understand that different critics disagree on the same wine. And so every critic has their own taste.
Right.
I find points are helpful if you can find a critic that lines up with your palate, right? So there's a couple critics that I really love and I really jive with, so I will buy wines they recommend. And the reverse is true. There's some critics that I will never buy the wines they like, and I find the wines they don't like are the ones I'm going to seek out.
Right.
So that's where it can be helpful or sometimes misleading. You might buy a wine that gets a high score and you'll be like, well, this isn't really that good. It's just because you have a different taste.
Right. So it's almost better if you find a wine that you really like to almost reverse search on, wherever you're getting on Co-op's website, for example. Find someone who has reviewed it well and go, okay, what else have they reviewed? And then you get a better idea as to some of the things that you might like.
Absolutely. And wine scores can be helpful if you're getting like zero help at a retail shop. But if you can actually come talk to me. I'm at Co-op's Crowfoot location all the time. I can actually have a conversation with you. I can hear about wines you have liked and not liked in the past. That increases your chances of getting something you like way, way further than some random number, 89 or 93 points on a bottle of wine. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you're going to like it, right? It's just a guide. It's something to say that someone out there has said this is a good wine for its category. But what if you don't like heavy wine?
Right.
Right. This is a really heavy, thick wine we're trying right now. Sure, it's got 95 points, but if you don't like heavy wine, you're not going to like it, right?
You're not going to give it a 95.
Yeah,
right?
You're going to give it a 70.
And I assume as well is like based on a wine rating scale, it's based off a bunch of different criteria. Is the criteria different given the different reviewer as well?
Yeah. Well, I think every reviewer is trying to grade the wine within its category. So this reviewer will taste hundreds of Amarones and grade it within the Amarone category.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So Amarone should be heavy, it should be thick, it should be velvety. So if a light one sneaks in there, it's probably not going to do well because Amarone should be, a certain style. So that's kind of how they're doing it. And they're not telling you that. They're not, people just assume that they're, trying all different styles at the same time.
Right.
Well, they're actually trying the same style in one sitting.
I was just going to ask, do reviewers typically stick with one style? Like the red guy never gets into the whites or the rosés as an example.
What they'll probably do is they'll taste a whole region at a time.
Right.
So they're going to taste all of this area of Italy. They're going to try all the wines. And so it's an apples to apples comparison.
Okay.
Yeah, because the grapes are the same, the styles are the same. And they're not going to, taste a Canadian Pinot Gris against some Italian Amarone. They'll have the Canadian guy who's an expert in Canadian wine. They'll have the Italian guy expert in Italian wine. And also just year over year, they get used to what the best wines taste like and what the ones that are maybe not so good taste like.
That's crazy that you can actually be that super specific on a kind of wine and you are the person for that kind of wine. Crazy. I had no idea about that. I'm going to give this one a taste. Give the folks a detail of what this is all about again.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the 2015 Campagnola Amarone.
Smells rich.
Again, on sale at every Co-op location, about $10 off, down to $30.99. Very heavy, very thick, very rich. If you love burgers, steaks, lamb, or even just hard cheeses after the meal, it's so thick and rich that it even kind of transitions into post-dinner really well. You got to give this a go.
That's quite delicious, quite deep.
Yeah,
I think.
Absolutely.
Eric Southworth, Co-op Wine, Spirits, and Beer here on this Wine Wednesday. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.